Hi, welcome to the podcast formerly known as Early Access. My name is Chris, and I am here with Brian,
What's going on?
Jake,
Hey guys.
and Jeremy.
Yo,
And we're going to talk about some games. So, we have we've been playing PUBG, and we are going to talk about that. But we have a few games to talk about before that. I think we'll start with Brian. Brian, what
You're
did you been
starting with
playing?
me. You're
Yeah,
starting with me.
we're gonna start
Right
with
off
you.
bat.
You feel honored?
Okay. A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I am I'm proud. Like slightly, but I am proud right now. So I've been playing in my spare time a little bit of World of Warplanes, and I think I've talked about it a bit before.
Yeah, you said the 2.0 is much better.
Oh, dude, the 2.0 is fantastic. Um, it's one of those games that you think you can play in your free time, but you end up playing it way more than you should. Like, oh, I'll just do this for 40 minutes, and then it ends up being 3 hours. Um,
I'm having a similar experience right now, but keep going.
I think that the respawn that really adds a lot to the game. It makes it a lot more forgiving. That was one of the biggest problems if you played it in the past. It was a very unforgiving game because it's pretty easy to crash a plane or like get a plane into a situation that you get shot down by like four people at the same time. Um, but with the respawns, you get a couple of extra chances to try out different stuff, to figure out how your plane handles, and I think that's really what's at the core of um, what all of the wargaming games are is figuring out what works best for your vehicle and what you should do with your specific vehicle in whatever situation. Um, I don't really think that the respawn would work for a game like World of Warships, or it probably wouldn't work that well for World of Tanks either. But I think that in World of Warplanes, it really improves the game quite a bit. It does have that fast-paced aspect to it that the other games do kind of lack at times because planes move a lot faster than ships or tanks or whatever. Um, excuse me, and I just really enjoy it. It's got that right balance of the fast paced aspect. It's strategic enough that you have to think about, okay, should I go after the other players or the other team's players, or should I go after the planes that are holding down this base, or um, where should I attack, and who should I prioritize over other targets? Um, and it's got that historical aspect to it that I think that wargaming really does a good job with. They do a lot of stuff that people call, especially in World of Tanks, paper tanks, stuff that never existed in real life. It was just sort of a blueprint. Um, I think that that gives them a lot of leeway, particularly with aircraft. When you look at historical aircraft, there were way more test designs and prototypes and stuff like that when it comes to aircraft designs than there were tanks or ships, just because planes
Makes
were
sense.
cheaper to make. Exactly, yeah. So I think that gives them a lot of room to expand, and I'm honestly excited to see where they're going to go with this game. I think they've got a really solid start, especially for free to play. The premium stuff, I have a premium plane, and it is definitely a seal clubber. Um, but I don't really think it's that unbalanced. World of Tanks is getting quite unbalanced with regards to the premium tanks.
So you would
Um,
say it's not pay to win.
no, I would say not at this point. I would say they're kind of in the phase that World of Tanks was back in like 2012 when I started playing, where they were more focused on attracting players, and well, they were kind of getting out of that phase when I got into it back then, but they're focused on attracting players to the game. They're focused on improving the reputation that they have, especially within their own community, that the game is total shit. And if you think that if you've played wargaming stuff, and you like World of Tanks or you like World of Warships, I would definitely check this game out. It's free. You're not really gaining or losing anything.
It's true.
It's
Just the disk space.
And dude, that comes back. You just delete it.
That comes back. That's
It's
very
like grass.
true.
You mow the lawn, it grows back. You know?
That's very true.
So I have a question.
What's up?
I also have a question.
So
You go first.
Excuse me.
So they have a lot of like test planes, yeah?
Well, not yet.
Oh, but they're
What I'm saying is that when it comes to expanding the game in the future,
I
like
see.
adding
Okay.
stuff to the lines, they have a lot
to work
room
with.
to play with. Exactly.
I gotcha. So are they going to use the Nazi jet?
Dude, the ME-262, it's already in the game.
Oh, it's in the
working
game?
towards
Because
one.
I thought that
Oh,
was just a design.
No, it
Yeah,
goes
that's what
up-
he was saying. They
goes
have
up to,
like paper tank or paper planes.
it goes up to the yeah, they have that Japanese one with the engine in the back and the counter rotating propellers that they built.
Fuck.
The American ones, it goes up to the F-86, which is like Korean War era, and I think the Soviet ones and the British ones, it goes up to the same, and the French line is coming soon.
Dude, the Soviets had shit planes. But here's the
Dude,
follow-up.
the Soviets had really like their ground attack aircraft, the Sturmovik. That thing is excellent. It
Well,
is
see, there you
head
go.
and dude, it is fantastic. The actually that premium plane, the Seal Clubber I was talking about, that's a
Yeah.
Soviet. It's a biplane with gasoline-powered ramjets under the engines, which is in and of itself a very Soviet thing to do. It is fantastic, fantastic.
But here's the follow-up. In the paper tanks in World of Tanks,
Yeah.
do they have the Tsar tank?
No.
You know
Because-
that one.
Yeah, dude, with the huge wheels, they were like 20 feet in diameter or something
Yeah.
like that. That thing would get blown to pieces so fast.
Yeah, dude. I didn't say that it would be good. I just
They
wanted
don't-
to know if they had it.
They don't have World War One stuff because the World War One tanks were
Primitive.
kind of shit. Yeah, and they weren't
Land
really
ships?
designed to fight other tanks. They were kind of designed to just kill people. So
Well,
Like you do.
like you
Yeah.
do. All right, that was my question.
So my question is, are your rivets flush?
are my rivets flush?
Yeah.
On an aircraft, yes.
But are every aircraft you fly in
Well, at this point, I'm still flying aircraft that were. Some of them were partially made out of fabric. They were a frame that.
that
was
doesn't
covered with
sound like
fabric
flush
and-
rivets.
Well, there were no rivets.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know.
But
I don't know.
on
If
the-
I'm
on the
gonna
ones
try it
that have
out
rivets-
until. Okay. Yeah.
On
Go
the
on.
ones that have rivets, the rivets I can assure you are quite flush.
Okay. Good. Good. Is
They're
that
quite
rendered?
flush.
Is that rendered? Would I know?
Um,
You should check. Please check.
I'll have to take a look, but
All right.
I would expect
Well,
nothing less.
everyone listening, please tune in next week. We'll get an update as to whether or not the rivets are or are not flush. Okay.
I'm
Jake.
writing it down. Rivets flush. Question.
Jake, you've been up to some video games.
Yeah, I tried a couple games this week, so
All right.
I mean, as we said, we've all been playing some PUBG Plunkbat. But
Hey, we're getting there.
I
Calm down.
tried out a new game, well, not new, but new to me, Off-World Trading Company. It's an RTS type of game, but it takes a kind of new twist on the RTS genre. Instead of building up armies and just killing each other, it's economic warfare.
Sounds terrible. Go on.
It's so it's interesting. I mean, I'm pretty terrible at RTSs, and it is by far not my favorite genre. But I figured I'd give it a try because it looked pretty interesting. And I mean, it's published by the same publishers that have done Sins of Solar Empire, Galactic Civilizations, Political Machine, The Corporate Machine. So there's a lot of similar games in that genre. So they're pretty well known for putting out some good games. So I wanted to take a look at it. I already have it. I think I picked it up in a Humble Bundle previously, and it was pretty good. I mean, I pretty much crushed the tutorials, but as soon as I got into a real game, I got my ass handed to me.
Like most RTSs.
Pretty much. And I'm like exceptionally bad at RTSs, so it was embarrassing. I think I even recorded it, so it may end up in the game
Hey,
footage of this
I love
podcast. So you guys will all have a chance to watch me get wrecked and look
you're-
clueless.
You're brave because I'm not willing to put up my footage for the game that I've been playing.
So I was thinking about not putting it up, but then it was like 30, 40 minutes worth of footage, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to waste all of this.
God,
So,
you're gonna wreck my Google Drive, dude.
it's
You're gonna
already
wreck
up
it.
there. It's already up there, so we're good. I had to clean out
Alright.
a whole bunch of stuff to put it up.
I love it.
But once I was done with that, I dived a little bit back into Pyre, which Pyre there's a lot to say about Pyre. So this was released probably a couple months ago. It's from the same
Yeah.
studio, Supergiant Games, that did Bastion, which did Transistor, some huge, I guess, sort of indie games, maybe AA games.
Did you play either of those? Because I
played
liked
Bastion, and
I
it
liked
was
Bastion.
it was fantastic. I haven't
Yeah.
played Transistor, but it's just because I haven't really had the chance to
Yeah.
pick it up.
Yeah, same. And it looks kind of short, but
They're
All
all
right.
pretty short. I mean,
I've heard very up and down things about Pyre. I've heard there's a stark contrast between like progressing story and like that sport that you play.
absolutely. So the story's pretty great. The art is amazing. The music is amazing, as you would expect with every Supergiant game.
Yeah.
The big controversy, I guess, about this game is what the gameplay revolves around, which is a sort of pseudo sport-like gameplay, which involves taking a ball and throwing it into the enemy's essentially goal, for kind of simplifying it down. It's a 3-on-3 kind of sport match, and I mean, I gotta say, it's pretty interesting. It's compelling enough that I would consider just going in and playing like just the sport. You can't do online matchmaking, which I think is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
you can do just a regular quick game against the AI, which is challenging enough as it is. So I put in probably an hour of that. It's definitely a great game, but I have to say I have a hard time sticking with it just because it is a slow game, and it's very much the story, the art, and the music that keeps you in it.
That keeps you going. Yeah, so I heard that there's like a very significant twist that kind of changes everything up. So if you stick with the game,
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
you'll have to report back. All right. So
Wait.
What have you-
Hold on. What was this political warfare or political assault?
Economic warfare.
So
Economic warfare?
that was Off-World Trading Company.
he comes in like 5
No,
minutes
but-
after.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt it while you guys were. You
All
had,
right.
You had a good thing going, so I didn't want to get in the middle
Nah, I
of it.
feel you.
But there was you said they developed a couple of games previously, and they were one of them was like, what were they called?
So I think the one you were thinking of was The Political Machine.
The Political Machine. What
Yeah.
is that about?
I have no idea. Like I said, I never play RTSs, so I've never played any of their games, but if I look at the Steam page, it says run for president of the United States as one of the dozens of past or present presidential candidates, or create your own ideal candidate, give speeches, go on talk shows, hire unsavory operatives, and do whatever it takes to win on election day.
My
It looks
interest in
pretty-
this game has increased.
It looks.
exponentially.
I'm looking at screenshots and it looks pretty ridiculous.
It looks entirely ridiculous, but it has great reviews, so.
I've
it-
gotta
But
look
I
at
bet
who
you
can
can't
as.
run as the current president.
Well,
of
no,
the-
they have
Dude,
Sanders and
he
Clinton in
is
the screenshot.
on the screenshot.
Ah! You can relive it and pretend Bernie won. Oh, I
Oh,
gotta play
no.
it every day.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get good, you know.
Oh, I gotta get good for Bernie, dude.
Dude, I'm actually kind of into that. My interest is peaked.
It sounds like a
That sounds fucking
Brian
cool.
and Jeremy thing, especially.
Dude, can you be fucking like Mike Dukakis?
Can you be George McGovern?
Can you be Wesley Clark? Can you be? Oh, I love it. Can you be Bob Dole? You probably can be Bob Dole.
Bob Dole.
Probably.
He loves it. He loves
It
it.
looks
In
entertaining
which
as
Bob
hell.
Dole could become president of the United States.
Oh, dude, you can be as
It's a
some sort of
fucking
doctor.
computer
maybe?
game.
What do you mean, some sort of doctor?
I
Dr.
just-
Ben
Is it
Carson.
Ben Carson, I
Jake?
assume?
He's not black. He's white, so.
Some sort of
All right. I'm
Is that an
gonna.
Easter
play the
egg?
fuck out of this later. All right.
I'm
We'll
gonna
come back
talk.
to that next week.
I'm gonna talk real quick, and then we'll hop into some PUBG. So first off, Panic Button. Just in the span of 2 weeks, released 2 games on the Switch. Both are fairly well received as like quote unquote good ports. The first one was Doom. Did not play Doom, but I heard it was pulled off very well, so that's pretty impressive.
I
The
did look
second-
at screenshots of Doom, and it looks great for the
Yeah.
Switch. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
great for any console, but it looks great for the Switch.
Yeah, it's kudos to them and kudos to Bethesda, kudos to everyone involved in that. But their second game will.
When
Whoops,
did
sorry.
Doom come out?
It came out in 2016.
Okay.
The second game that they pushed out was Rocket League for the Nintendo Switch, and
Oh, that's why you bought it.
yeah,
You're a bitch. Comes out on the Switch, buys it. Has had
No,
gaming
no, no,
PC
no,
for
no,
like
no, no.
8 years.
Well, no, okay, so I was planning on buying Rocket League, just FYI.
Okay.
No, I was gonna
might
buy
get
it, but then I
might get
heard.
it.
But then I heard that it was coming out on the Switch, and so at work, one of my friends was playing Rocket League at lunch, and I was like, "Oh, that looks really cool." This was probably around May, and I was like, "I might get it." Then, like literally at E3 a month later, they announced that it was coming out on the Switch. So I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll hold out for the Switch version." And then they announced that it was going to have crossplay. So then I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely holding out on it." With a little caveat. So anyways, I've been playing Rocket League. That game is like everyone says it's super fun, and then you watch a video of it and you're like, that looks fucking stupid.
But then
It
you
does.
play
It's-
Dude.
they're fucking RC cars hitting a soccer ball, and it looks really sloppy and whatever. It is so fun. It is so tight, and the skill ceiling is so insanely, stupidly high in that game. It is like mindless fun. I've been playing it every chance I can. I've been playing it on the trolley. I've been playing it at work during lunch. I've been playing it at home. It's so much fun. It honestly, far as like quote unquote competitive games that I've played in recent years, it seriously, I don't think it's as complex, but it is putting me in that like mindset of StarCraft as complexity goes. Just like the maneuverability that you have to get these shots, combined with like the field positioning and the coordination, it really is something like insanely deep and insanely fun. And it was $20, so yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And the crossplay thing, that's kind of unique, isn't it?
So yeah, that
Well,
is
you
actually that is my caveat. And this isn't like a Switch specific caveat. This is it persists on all consoles. I didn't look into it deep enough. I read crossplay, great. So now I can safely get it on the Switch, and if Brian or Jeremy gets it on the PC, we can all play together. It's a little more complicated than that. Yes, that could theoretically happen, but you can't at this point make parties with other consoles. You can only play against them. So yeah, I can play with PC players and Xbox players, but I can't create a party with someone outside of my console.
Okay, but I mean,
Yeah, but they're working on
let's
that.
be honest.
They're working on that.
Back in the day, like 4 people playing a video game together was all you had, and that there is still kind of some fun in that, where you're just playing. There's not just some fun. There's a lot of fun in that, where you're just playing a video game with a couple of your friends.
Yeah.
And
With the mates.
I think that dude, with your mates, dude, having a pint.
Have it a pint with the mates.
Fight with the
Um,
mates.
I really like that because I have no intention of buying a Switch, but I might buy their game. In fact, I probably will buy their game because they have that feature.
Yeah, and again, that is coming. The whole party thing is coming
Right,
for
it'll get better, I'm sure.
for PC players, Xbox One players, and Switch players, Sony is, for every game, this isn't unique to Rocket League, very adamant against not allowing crossplay. So
Because Sony is in the dominant position, so everyone else wants to crossplay with Sony because they have the largest player base. So
Well,
that doesn't really benefit them.
it
Incentivizes you to buy it because they have the market share, so they have the player base. So it's like, oh, Sony's got the player base. If I want to take advantage of that, I also have to get a PS4. So it would be to their detriment if they did crossplay.
It wouldn't be to their detriment.
Yeah, it would, because then you could put that factors into the calculation of what console you're going to get. You know what I mean? Like a royal metric fuck ton of people play PS4. Not that many people comparatively play Xbox. So if you're thinking about, I really want to play the new Star Wars game, there's no crossplay, but I don't have a console. I'm looking at maybe the holiday season to get a console. If I get a PS4, there's going to be significantly more people playing it potentially versus the number of people playing it on Xbox. So it incentivizes people to go to your product.
I mean, I slightly disagree, just because, like, if you look at Minecraft, the vast majority of players in Minecraft are on the PC. They're not
but that's
on the
like
PS4.
a PC game.
Well, that's crossplay with Switch, Xbox, PC, and not PS4 because they won't allow it.
Yeah, I don't think PS4 allows it for any title.
Yeah, they don't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they don't allow it in principle.
But I don't necessarily. So, like, in that case, Minecraft has a smaller player base than PS4. So
I understand,
PlayStation
but-
doesn't have the upper hand in all cases.
yeah, they don't have
not
the
in
upper
all
hand.
cases, but I think if you take it as like a gross, I think that it still helps them business wise. I mean, it must, otherwise they wouldn't do it.
I think that
And if Xbox got in the same position, suppose we go into the next cycle and Xbox is doing well and PlayStation is relatively out, I assume Xbox will take that position.
I don't.
It's the same thing as backwards compatibility. You use it to crush your enemies. When you don't have to, you don't do it.
I think they're tied with Microsoft. I think whatever. At this point, Xbox and PC are so integrated. I think they're just gonna go with the flow.
I mean, I think they realize it's different markets. Like, they're not going to convert a PC player to console pretty much ever.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. They're mostly trying to keep people away from Xbox. They're not as much trying to keep people away from PC. And to the same degree, I think even someone who maybe has had Xboxes in the past, even though Xbox and PC are so integrated, they're a lot more likely to switch to PlayStation than to a PC. I would venture to guess.
Well,
Console plays like console.
Everyone's mad about Sony being a buzzkill. That's all.
I would be mad about it. I'm just explaining why it's a rational decision.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but everyone's still mad. We could all just get along. Anyways,
They could honestly just release Horizon to PC and it'd be okay.
Yeah, and Mario on Steam, that would be nice too.
There we go.
So, Jeremy, I have a question for you. Why are you mad, Brian?
I'm mad. You know why?
Dude, he's fucking mad.
Real quick, why are you mad?
I just found a fucking dead pixel on my monitor.
Oh my god.
Now you've got to get
one.
Fuck?
Yeah, now you gotta upgrade. Right? You gotta upgrade.
You mean you found a dead pixel on your TV?
On my TV.
All right.
That sucks, man.
Black Friday, my man.
Fucking
Black Friday.
Put it on mute while you get all that out.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna scream a little bit.
Jeremy, I have a question for you.
Yo, what's up?
Have you vaulted?
My boy. Have I vaulted or have I vaulted?
This is a yes or no.
Oh, I vaulted.
No, you have to describe it because some of us have not.
No. Jake, have you vaulted?
No, sir.
Interesting.
Jake.
Brian.
Jake, hold on. Jake, look me in the fucking eyes and tell me you haven't vaulted. Did you not vault?
Sir, I have not vaulted in my entire life.
I didn't mean to interrupt the flow.
Brian. He's
fixing his
still
monitor.
He's still mad.
He's still mad. All right. Well, I can speak for him. Brian has vaulted. We're going to talk about the first test server patch point since they've released their launch path. So, it went live. Apparently Jake has not dived in. Jeremy, Brian, and I have. I can say, Jeremy, what do you think? That's what I
of the test server patch?
Yeah.
Well, he's having me go first because Chris and I, as usual, have a bit of a difference of opinion.
I can say, someone answer for me, please.
Yeah. No, well, Jeremy put himself on mute, so I was like, I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's doing something. So I was I was gonna tangent, but then he unmuted, so we're good.
No,
All
I
right.
am ready. I
Talk.
had to burp actually. Which now I suppose it almost doesn't matter that I was on mute. No, my thoughts on the test server patch. I thought it went better than I expected overall. When PlayerUnknown comes out and tells you that the product is going to be unstable as they did in the release notes with the patch, I expected it to just be a disaster given how unstable the game has been for me, just throughout. But I didn't crash once of it.
About PUBG.
Yeah, my dude.
I just got back from
No, it's okay. It's
screaming.
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
apologize.
I'm just giving my thoughts on the first patch.
Oh.
Yeah. No, but so I thought it was actually very good overall. I didn't. So Chris noticed, and I'm sure he'll get into it. Noticed a lot of more subtle changes. To me, they didn't stand out. I'm sure they're there. It didn't really affect my overall playing experience. The biggest change for me was the addition of the vaulting and the jumping to an extent, and I thought it was good. It wasn't revolutionary. I think that the thing that will change the game more is just the usage of windows, which is pretty clear. The only other thing I really noticed was the weirdly deep ravines now. But I was fairly happy with it. So, it didn't crash. It was fairly stable. Hopefully, it speaks well of what we'll see going forward. I'm not super impressed. I don't think it really justifies the amount of time that's. I mean, I'm not a developer, but it doesn't seem that different from the products we already have outside of vaulting. And I will say the vaulting is actually very, very good.
I mean, let's be real. It's
very
pretty
dynamic.
much a core component of the game. Like the fact that you cannot jump over things that are half your height in a competitive shooter is
I'm not a
brutal.
developer, so I can't be like, science says it's wicked hard.
I mean, it doesn't matter how difficult it is. It is a core component to the game. Like, you need that.
I'm gonna jump in real quick because Jeremy said that I noticed a few extra things. So
Which he did.
I was very impressed with the update. It seems like it's as close to the live code as they're probably the 1.0 code as they're probably willing to show at this point. Well, they're still working out the rest of the defects, but the level of detail is generally higher. The rendering of assets and stuff is generally better. It seems like there's some slight optimization. I was getting higher quality, higher fidelity visuals.
But so, Chris, I'm sorry to interject. This is all just your anecdotal. This is just your experience.
Yeah.
So,
well, I gotta say, I've been experiencing better frame rates recently. I mean, I had to turn everything down to medium, which I can run pretty much every game on high or ultra now. So that's a huge downgrade for what my computer can handle. But I get 60 to 80 pretty consistently, which is nice.
So I got about a 7 to 10 frames per second boost, which is like a 10 to 15% boost with higher fidelity visuals. I noticed the vehicle models were better. The vehicle handling was much better. The water was deeper. I don't particularly care about that. But just little things like the wallpaper inside buildings was sharper. But more importantly, the gameplay. I thought vaulting was about as fluid as they promised it would be. It worked well. I never had a hiccup personally where I tried to vault something that I thought was vaultable, and I was being a little forgiving with it. But every time I saw something that I thought was vaultable, it was pretty much vaultable. And I think the introduction of vaulting in and out of windows could potentially enhance the game quite a bit.
I agree.
It is a huge change, too.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think this is kind of where the game should have been at the end of September at the latest. It's pretty much at this point like a basic shooter. It doesn't have that many things that are that different other than the fact that you have 100 players per match. That's really the only thing that sets even the test server apart from anything else that's on the market.
Yeah, well, the map is a little bigger too.
Yeah, but they only have one map. I mean, I want to say if you've got the desert map, okay, you've been telling us about the desert map since what? July, August, June. So why don't you put it on the test server, because that's what the test server is for.
I think they opened their mouth a little early on this. On vaulting.
On the game.
I think they spoke a little too soon. I have a theory about that I'm going to talk to Jake about, but I think that they shot their mouth off.
Talk to Jake and all the listeners and the rest of
I'm going to talk to
apparently
everyone.
he's not talking to you and me, Brian.
Question about the vaulting for you guys.
I think Jake would benefit. Yeah.
It might not longer be a cohesive.
Jake, it's vaulting, and I think next to vaulting, vehicles is the next best improvement.
So if you just walk up to something and jump, do you vault over, or do you have to map it to a button?
No, it just works with the jump key.
It works with jump.
It works exactly like you think.
I mapped it in that first game that I put up on the Google Drive because I was kind of I only had time for one game at the time, and this was before they had extended the test server, so I wanted to make sure that it was going to work.
I really like that they gave you the option to map it, and it also just works by jumping. That's very good on them.
And I do have to reiterate something that I had kind of mentioned, and Chris, elaborated a little bit. It is very, very fluid. Like when you walk up to, a stone wall, you're going to vault over like the actual height of the stone wall. If you're just kind of stepping over something small, it's a different animation. If you're really climbing over something taller, it's a totally different animation, and it actually does interact fairly naturally with the environment. So I think the vaulting is actually at this point significantly better than pretty much everything else in the game. And the vehicles also did handle, I think, a little noticeably better. I didn't have a big, huge experience with that, but I thought that they were an improvement. I didn't think they were a disaster before in terms of just handling. I thought the invisible rocks was a bigger deal.
The vehicles are head and shoulders. Like, Chris, you didn't drive a bike, did you?
I did drive a bike when I played solo the other day, before the servers went down. I did drive a bike, and it was so much better. And I didn't feel that I was going to get a cheap death on it.
I drove the sidecar bike, and it was so much better than it was before. Like, before, it was what I imagined driving an actual sidecar bike would be like really unpredictable and difficult. Like, it was a little bit harder than, a video game bike, but it was noticeably different. I think that I agree with what Chris was saying about the texture load and what Jake was saying too. I noticed like probably a 10 to 15% drop in like my CPU usage just from looking at the little thing I have up in the corner. I think that it's really feels a lot better. It feels a lot more finished. On the test server than it did on the regular servers, and I hope that they roll out these updates soon because I think it's pretty clear from what I experienced on the test servers and what you guys experienced on the test servers and what I would imagine other people did as well, that they're ready to go on this, and they should make it an update for the general user base.
Yeah, so just real quick, they did say that later this week, which is being recorded as of the 16th, they were going to roll out the rest of the roadmap for test servers and then the final push for 1.0. But it sounds like we have generally positive vibes, yeah?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
I'm positive towards this particular update. I don't know that I still have a kind of negative opinion overall on the way that they've handled the development cycle, at least in relation to the fans and the players and the public. But I think the update itself, pretty good.
It's extremely late. It's extremely late, but at least
So I'm just you guys can jump in if you want, but I'm gonna ask Jake something. I want to see if he agrees. Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a theory, right? They were agile up until around E3 into early August-ish. Like, that's when this change happened. And then they had all the requirements, and they switched to waterfall. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if there's any really any way to determine that. I mean, I guess it would make sense if they're now all of a sudden putting all this time between updates. It would make sense if they switch from agile to waterfall, but
only because that would have been coming up on August, they would have probably finished getting all the requirements they needed for 1.0.
Right. So for everyone who's not a programmer, which I imagine is most people, Agile is all about getting small segments of something done that you can release. So most video games are developed in an agile fashion. That's why updates generally come out every week or so. It's because you finish something small, get it working, and then push it out. So it's unusual that PlayerUnknown was doing the 10-week update cycle,
Yeah.
which is
And-
very
and-
much the waterfall.
so-
Like you get everything ahead of time, you work for 10 weeks, and then you put out something big.
So waterfall would be like you collect all the requirements or all so for PlayerUnknown, like you figure out all the things you want, like vaulting in a new map. You figure out all the current existing defects, like motorcycles killing you, and then you compile those into like a list of things that need to get done, and then you do all of that. Do not give anything to the customer until it's done.
Why do you have to call it agile and waterfall and
Yeah,
all this
that's
bullshit? Why can't you
stupid
just
shit.
say this
Names.
week we're? Why don't you just say this
They're-
week? We're
No,
gonna
no.
do
Here's what happened because someone got paid.
I assume
a
it's
lot
a-
of money
yeah, I
to
assume
do a
it's a-
study and write a stupid book on it that was probably like 100 pages long.
No, it's probably a
But
consulting
absolutely.
company
What,
that
exactly.
like you're like we're gonna like develop this
Well,
agile culture.
Har-
We're
Har-
gonna come
Harvard-
up with catchy names for it.
Harvard Business developed Agile,
I
but
don't give a shit about
Dude,
Harvard Business, dude.
Yeah.
Like here's what
no,
this.
they're just industry standard terms. Like
It doesn't-
That's
it-
why I asked Jake.
It
I mean,
doesn't
someone's got
matter.
to make money off of selling
Here's
this.
what
But
I'm
there's
saying.
nothing to
It
sell.
doesn't-
It's like, should we do it every week or every couple weeks? Let's
Well,
try
like-
this one and then we'll try that one.
My company
Right,
just
it's-
rolled out like the quote unquote agile method, and people had to go
Right.
get trained on it, go to seminars. So,
fucking
like,
stupid.
Right, because there's money to be made.
it's all just a way to sell shit to the managers.
No, it's a big circle jerk because then the managers can tell their fucking supervisors like, oh, this is how we're like improving like synergies and all this bullshit with our fucking like this quarter. This is all the scenarios we sent our people to, and now they're going to be so much more efficient. And then they jerk each other off and get their bonuses.
Right. I mean, but before we
That's
get
how it
too
works, that's how it
sidetracked,
goes
like,
down.
Yeah,
But
I'm sorry.
here's what I'm saying, right? It doesn't matter what you call the phases that they're going into or whatever. What this looks like is a company that the management isn't really doing what they should be. They
Right,
didn't
right.
switch- what you could say they didn't switch to waterfall or whatever fast enough or whatever you want to say. What it comes down to is someone that's not really calling the shots correctly. That's what I see. When you look at the whole thing as a consumer, it looks like either A, they don't give a fuck about the people that are actually playing the game and buying the game, which, you know, I'm a little bit disinclined to believe, or they're not really doing what they should be doing. Which
I think
is-
they should have hired a PR department.
Oh,
Because-
absolutely. Yes.
As it
no.
stands, it's
Yeah.
literally Brendan Green going on interviews and pushing patches.
I
This is
don't, I
very
don't care. I
Well,
don't
no,
care.
this is very No Man's Sky type of shit, where a developer developers aren't PR people.
Yeah, I agree.
They shouldn't be. He developed the Arma 3 mod. He worked on King of the Kill. He is a developer. He shouldn't be doing these things, and he is.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, but when it comes,
I don't
down
think
to
it's a management
exactly,
issue. I think it's a PR issue.
I think it's both. I mean,
I think
PR
it-
just
I
spins
agree,
the
I agree.
situation the right way. It's still like
I think
it's
if they never
unusual
said
for
anything
people
about
to never
vaulting,
push updates for 10 weeks.
Right,
Yeah,
but
if
no one does that.
If they should never have said anything about vaulting, then they should never have said anything about that. Should be at sort of a high level, you know. That
No, I agree.
kind of goes with what I'm saying. You know, if you want to take 10 weeks to develop something, that's fine. But I want to see something in 10 weeks. I want to see that you've been working to improve this game and that you've been listening to the people who have been saying, look, these are the problems with the game. These are the bugs that I've found through playing it. Because
And I
that's
think-
the,
I
that's
think the
power.
test server was promising in that.
Oh, the
We saw
test
something
server
good.
the test server was very promising, but I think that the lag you see in, again, the test server, I think, was where the game should have been by the end of September at the latest. And I think that the improvement that you see is promising, but the lag is due to them not really shooting as straight as they should have, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's still 6-7 weeks late,
Right.
even if it is
Yeah,
really
At
good.
least. Right.
I mean, ostensibly, like the desert map is supposed to be out now, right?
No, the desert map was supposed to be out back in, I think, August.
No, but when they made the original, so like Chris mentions they're going to release the roadmap soon. Like they released a fucking roadmap like a month ago, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have 3 updates, test server updates before we release, 1.0 ostensibly. And the first is going to have vaulting, the second is going to have vaulting a desert map, and the last one is going to have like some other shit. And we're on the second update, and we're behind essentially by a whole few weeks. And a lot of the other things, so like not to be too negative, because I think it was a good update overall, but to kind of what Brian was saying, like a lot of them were really small fixes. Like it was like, oh, they turned down the plane volume.
They
I'm not a
changed the
developer, but I
logo.
can't imagine that's particularly difficult to do, to just bring down the volume on the plane at the beginning of the game when people have been complaining about it. A lot of people have that as their number one complaint, and they've been talking about that for literally months since the game came out.
And that was my argument about switching to waterfall. They just weren't going to do that regardless. Anyways, we're gonna shift gears. We're still gonna talk about PUBG, just in a different light.
Plunk back, dude. Plunk back.
We are still
That's
gonna
all
talk
we
about
know how to
Plunk Bat.
talk about.
Exactly. This is the Plunk Bat podcast.
Cohesive
Okay.
Plunk Bat unit.
Plunk
So,
Bat podcast.
The Game Awards are coming. They're coming very soon, and the nominees have been announced. This is going to be a long podcast. I just realized that.
It's going to be a
Anyways,
great podcast.
it is going to be a great one, but it's going to be a
the
long
best.
one.
It's gonna
More
be
content for
fantastic.
the viewers, man.
Exactly.
More impressions.
Anyways, Game Awards are coming. Nominees have been introduced. There is one particularly controversial one, and it is for Game of the Year. Here are the lineup for Game of the Year nominations from the Game Awards, which you can think is as legitimate or illegitimate as you want. There's a lot of controversy on that. Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, where PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is kind of getting the most heat for this nomination. A lot of people think that it's not a finished game. It's in early access. It is literally not finished.
Yep.
It is on top of that. Even if it was finished, a lot of people don't think it's necessarily Game of the Year material. And on top of that, you can look at its Steam reviews and let those speak for themselves. I'm just going to read one statement from Brendan Green, who is PlayerUnknown, not very unknown. He had an interview with IGN, and he said, quote unquote, "While I would love to win it, being the Game Awards Game of the Year, for the team, I think this year there have been far better games," mentioning he thinks both Horizon Zero Dawn and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild are much more deserving of the honor. So it's also been nominated for Best Multiplayer Game and Best Ongoing Game. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm gonna release the hounds.
I'll get myself out of the way right now. I agree with the statements that you just made. I agree with the statements that PlayerUnknown has made, and I think I have made myself clear on my PUBG, Plunk Bat, whatever you want to call it, does not deserve Game of the Year.
So do you
Mic
have a
drop.
vote for? I don't think any of us
Well,
have
that's-
played the majority of the game, but
Probably.
I have
No,
played the
I
majority.
haven't played any of the other ones, but I know that the Zelda games are generally extremely well done, and I think that would probably get my vote. But I wouldn't excuse myself from voting because I don't know enough about the other contenders. But I would say that
But you're confident
Bat
enough,
should-
having not played the other 4, you are confident in saying that Plunk Bat is not the Game of the Year. That in
100%.
itself says something.
100%.
That in itself says
100%.
something. I think that's fair. So just disclaimer before we keep going, I believe nobody here has played Horizon Zero Dawn or Persona 5.
Nope.
Yep, that's
Correct.
true.
All right, Jake and I have played Super Mario Odyssey, and I have played Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, all right, we got that out of the way.
So I will go in the opposite direction. I don't necessarily think that it is the Game of the Year, but I think it's deserving of that nomination. Game of the year doesn't necessarily mean most artistic. It doesn't necessarily mean most polished. It doesn't necessarily mean best narrative. They have other categories for those things. It means game of the year. And it's had an enormous impact. It's debatably started a new genre of games, at least in a mainstream way. It has an enormous player base. It's had the most people playing the game simultaneously at a time on Steam of any game ever. So I think it's clearly, it's been a huge game this year.
So
we've
I'm gonna-
talked about it almost exclusively for all 6 or 7 of the shows we've done. Brian and I don't buy a lot of games on Steam at all. All 4 of us have bought this shit. And I think it's broken ground in a lot of ways. So I think it deserves the mention.
So I'm going to counter you real quick, only because you said that it is quote unquote deserving of Game of the Year.
I said it was deserving of the nomination.
Yeah,
I don't
deserving.
know.
Sorry, deserving of the nomination.
I don't know which
So-
one I would vote for.
So real quick, let me just read. I'm on their website right now, the Game Awards website. There's a 1-sentence description for Game of the Year. I'm going to read that to you, and just you can yes or no if that statement holds. I'm just curious. Game of the Year, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields.
Sure. Yeah. Fine.
You think
That's a nothing statement, but yeah, sure.
you think technical and creative fields it's good?
Nope. I don't change my opinion.
No, Jeremy.
He's asking me. You already said it doesn't deserve it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's fine. No, I was just curious.
I mean,
Because you shit on the tech a lot.
I do, because the tech is shit. But
It's in the fucking sentence, dude.
it says that. I mean, no, but like the thing is, I clearly enjoy the game. You know what I mean? I've clearly had a good experience with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep playing it, even though the tech is so shit. So clearly, it has delivered an excellent experience, at least for me. It's the only game all 4 of us have bought. It's the only game of the 5 of them Brian and I have even played. I don't really even have much interest in a few of those other titles. And Brian and I could have played Persona 5. Neither of us did. So clearly, just if you're looking at, us voting with our feet and voting with our wallets, in a sense, we all kind of voted for it. I know we don't all have Switches or PS4s, so we didn't have I would play Horizon Zero Dawn if I could. But, I don't see why it doesn't deserve to be in that company. For this year,
Okay.
It was an enormous game.
Okay, I'm gonna hop in real quick, and then if Jake has anything, he can say something. Otherwise, we'll just go balls to walls and nuts and fight to the death about it. I do not think it deserves Game of the Year. I do think it deserves an award. So, just for example, it's currently nominated for Best Multiplayer Game and Best Ongoing Game. I think Best Ongoing Game maybe Best Multiplayer, but I think it definitely deserves the nominations for those 2. I think Best Ongoing might be the kind of the sweet spot for it. From a Game of the Year perspective, I kind of have 2 takes on this. One, I don't think that early access games should necessarily be able to be nominated for Game of the Year because they're not out. That's just it's technically playing a beta, and they are
out. You can buy them and play them.
Yes, but
They're out in every sense of the word.
Well,
other than
so
they pretend that they're not out so they can not be finished.
I mean, you can buy like parts of a car, but it's not a car.
Yeah,
but it's not parts of a car. It's like you could buy a used car.
Well,
it's not really an exact comparison.
Yeah. Regardless, I think if you're going to be bold enough to consider yourself as not complete, not 1.0, I think you shouldn't necessarily be able to throw yourself out there, or you shouldn't be able to be nominated for Game of the Year. Second, I think PlayerUnknown lacks a certain polish, and this is definitely related to it being early access. I think it's just not at the technical polish of literally any of the 4. I don't think it's up to par with Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, or Horizon Zero Dawn. And my third point that I was this is a little more controversial, this is a little more out there, and this is a little more me. I think maybe Game of the Year isn't the best award to give. It's impossibly hard to do. I think because I tend to think if you were to ask me to pick a game of the year, I would do it based on like quote unquote games as art. But a lot of people wouldn't do that, and I understand that. I think maybe we should have like a not best art game, but a best game from like an artistic medium standpoint, and then like a best esports game. I think those are completely different categories in my mind. Like, I think it would be extremely hard to give something like Rocket League Game of the Year, but I think it deserves just as high of accolades back in 2015 when it came out. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think it deserves awards. I just don't think it deserves Game of the Year, personally.
Right, like you wouldn't give Pacific Rim Film of the Year.
Yeah, because it's bad.
No,
Yeah,
dude, it's
whoa,
excellent.
whoa.
Yeah,
All right,
that's a contentious point. But
Yeah, we'll let Jake talk for a minute. Hold on there.
So, I mean, I think I agree with Brian, Brendan
But-
Green. A lot of people are saying, I don't think PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds deserves Game of the Year. I think it would be kind of tough to argue that it does, based on it's just really I mean, as much as the impact it has had on, I guess, the gaming industry or the consumers of games, it really hasn't done much in the way of innovation besides putting a whole bunch of people on a big map, which has been done before.
Real quick, Jake.
But it is a new genre of game.
Well, Arma 3,
new-
H1Z1, King of the Kill came first.
Arma 3 I've heard of. Those other two I hadn't heard of until like last. And I'm not a deep level gamer, but like it's certainly made this style of gameplay
popular.
very
popularized
mainstream.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why people are making clones of it now. People weren't making clones of this before. This is the game that busted it open.
Very
So,
true.
Jake, real quick before you keep going, would you, because you've played Mario Odyssey, and I know you haven't finished it, but if you're comfortable saying if you could pick one or the other, would you at this time, or are you not
Just
comfortable?
between those two, I think, honestly, if I were to just give Game of the Year based on what I've played and what I've seen, I would give it to Horizon Zero Dawn. Because it looks like an amazing game, and the
so you
effort they've...
totally went past Mario on that.
Yes.
No, so if you had to compare Mario and PUBG,
Oh, then there's
I mean, you
no
already said-
comparison. It's Mario 100%.
He said PUBG didn't even deserve to be in consideration. Of course he was going to pick Mario.
So I think... so you
but
made
what
the
would
point,
you rather
Chris,
play,
that
Jake? But what would you rather play?
I'd rather play
How
Horizon
many hours
Zero
have you
Dawn.
put in player? Well, but of the two,
So that's
how
a
many
good point. I
hours
mean,
have
I've
you put in
put
PUBG?
50-something hours into PlayerUnknown, which is... I don't put
And
that
how
much
many-
hours into a lot of games.
Yeah, how many are you conceivably going to put into Mario? 20?
Probably more than that, but I don't know if it'll
30?
come
probably,
up to...
probably 40.
Probably 40 would be a good
Yeah, but
bet.
So doesn't that speak for itself?
No, because you can't measure
How many hours have you put into it, Chris?
140.
So
Yeah,
kind
so
of the-
140 hours into a game, you're going to say does not deserve a mention as game.
Yeah, no, I don't. I really
It's
don't.
not the best
I think
game. You're
no, I
just
think
going to
those
put
are-
140 hours of your life on this earth into something, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not better
no,
than something else because it's not as quote unquote artistic.
I think it's no, it's not. It's less about the artistic thing. It's more if you look at it as not an esport, but if you look at it as like a competitive game, I think there's just generally a lot more replay value. I think you can have a 3-hour game that you can blast through that could be a Game of the Year contender. I don't think hours per dollar is necessarily a way.
No,
to
I agree. That's
categorize
not.
Game of the
It's
Year.
not the benchmark, but like all I'm saying is that's why I said I don't know that it's the game of the year, but does it deserve a nomination in a category that isn't explicitly about anything else? It just says excellence across technical and creative platforms.
it deserves a
And I think it
nomination,
fails
but
on
That's
two
why I
of
said-
those. I think it fails on technical and creative platform. I think it's very
Yep.
fun. I think it's very addictive. I don't think it's very technically sound, and I don't think it's very creative.
Nope, not at all.
A new genre of games isn't very creative,
It's
as
I mean,
opposed to.
no.
Yeah,
it's
but if
very-
you get
newer than
leapfrogged to come out with a product like that, doesn't do you any good, does it?
Persona is a JRPG. Horizon Zero Dawn and Legend of Zelda are both roleplay games.
open world
Western
RPGs.
RPGs, open world RPGs. Mario Odyssey is a platformer in a very long running
Well,
franchise.
but creativity can extend beyond genre. It can be
It
art
can,
style.
but-
It can be music. It can be in
It can, but don't you think starting a new or popularizing a new genre of game might be somewhat creative?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. I think it deserves an award. I do not think it's Game of the Year. I don't think starting a new or popularizing a new genre is good enough.
I mean, I like to think that Game of the Year games should be what developers should be striving towards. And I definitely don't think that developers should be striving towards PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds from the standpoint of how well it runs, how creative it is story-wise, how well developed the assets are. I mean, again, I think every developer would want a game like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The amount of money it's brought in is unreal.
And the impact that it's had, which has been enormous.
It's been incredible, but at the same time, it's not a lot of effort has been. I can't say a lot of effort, but it's just not a complete game.
They don't have much.
Okay, but so
much
Chris
to
said you
show
could.
for it.
But so Chris said you could have a 3-hour game that won the award. It doesn't have to be long. Does it have to? Would a 3-hour game? Wouldn't that inherently have less effort than maybe Skyrim? I'm not really arguing. Not necessarily, but could it? I'm not like, is the amount of hours put into the work of the game, is that what makes it? I'm not really arguing that it is the game of the year. I'm just saying I think you can make a compelling argument that it should be included.
Yeah,
so if I could just throw out a couple of the Game of the Year games from the past.
Yeah, I was going to actually. Yeah, go ahead.
2016 was Uncharted 4.
Are you using Game of the Year?
I have Game of the Year from...
Game Awards? Are you using Game Awards as your benchmark?
I am not sure. It's coming straight from Wikipedia.
Look up Game Awards while I talk real quick.
All right.
I want to see what their track record is, because that's what we're talking about. Brian.
Yeah.
Do you have something that you could replace PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with that came out this year? If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
all right.
Honestly, yeah.
All right, throw it out.
Planes I already talked about at fair length. I would say that it constitutes a new game. They've significantly reinvented the game by adding the respawns, and I could play that for all of the hours that I've spent playing PUBG, and I'd be perfectly fine.
I think he meant replace it as a Game of the Year nominee. Like, is there a different game you would nominate?
No, I haven't played enough games.
That's what I thought. That's fine.
But I think that goes a lot towards the point that you and Jake and I were making, is that it isn't fundamentally something that you could not replace. I think that the argument
that slot.
No, I mean, I don't play a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Somewhat
especially newer ones, yeah.
Exactly. But I think that I don't know. I guess it's strength against PUBG being in contention.
So I could personally swap Nier Automata.
A lot of people have been saying that as well.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That's just out of things that I've played, not just like from perception. But I could swap Nier Automata. Do you have anything, Jake? And it's fine if you don't. I'm just curious.
For this year, I think that Mario, Zelda, and Horizon are all good nominations. So I would definitely.
All right, but you don't have anything that you could theoretically swap.
Yeah, nothing
that you'd like to include that isn't up there.
No.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy.
This conversation has made me stronger in the belief that PUBG should be a nominee. So I would nominate it.
All right.
Yes.
I would nominate that, and I would nominate Political Machine 2016, and I would nominate Sonic Forces.
It's 2017.
Sonic Forces.
Jake, what's that list?
End of discussion.
All right, so the Game Awards, formerly the Spike Video Game Awards, if anyone really cares.
Spike.
So 2016 was Overwatch, which I think is interesting because, as Jeremy was saying, really popularized the genre. Really broke open a market.
A hero shooter, yep.
But on the flip side, it is extremely well polished and very artistic, and has very much changed the way that games have really gone around developing competitive games more along the hero class.
It is also made by one of the biggest video game companies in the world.
Right. I mean, I think most Game of the Year games are made by big companies.
I agree.
So 2015 was The Witcher 3, which I don't think anyone's surprised about.
Yep, very fair.
2014 Dragon Age Inquisition, which I think they definitely dropped the ball on that one. 2013 Grand Theft Auto, definitely
Yeah.
a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to skip to some of the good ones. 2011 was Skyrim. 2010 Red Dead Redemption. 2007 was BioShock, the original. 2006 was Oblivion. So all, I think, pretty good games.
Good games.
So that's what they would have to be competing with.
I mean, and again, we don't know what the nominations were for that year. It could be like a PUBG in there, but
Right, that's true.
yeah.
I mean, there was Overwatch last year.
Yeah. No, I mean like a I don't know about that one. Kind of like a controversial pick, I guess is what I'm saying. Like this could be something that happens.
Controversial, but polished beyond measure compared to PlayerUnknown.
All right, so I'm gonna quickly read down the rest of the categories, and if any one of the categories strikes your fancy, I'll stop and visit it. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. So we did Game of the Year, Best Game Direction. Just say "I" if you want something. Best Narrative.
So what's nominated for Best Narrative?
Best Narrative is What Remains of Edith Finch, Nier Automata, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Wolfenstein 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Interesting.
All very deserving, in my opinion.
I would agree.
Best Art Direction, Best Score / Music. I have a comment on this one real quick. So, Zelda Breath of the Wild is actually nominated for Best Score / Music. I don't think it deserves that at all.
What
just
else
to
was
show
nominated?
that I'm not a huge cuck. Yeah, I'll run through the list. Destiny 2, Cuphead, Nier Automata, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Persona 5. I think Mario deserves it, Cuphead deserves it, Nier Automata deserves it. Didn't play Destiny or Persona. Zelda Breath of the Wild, they make a very big point of using ambient sound throughout the game. There's not a lot of music in it. I think the music that's there is very good. There's not a lot of music in it. So I think there are other things out there that probably have more music and better music, possibly. But that's just me.
I have to say, I'm amazed that Pyre is not on there.
Yeah, so like again, that's something that I would be fine. I haven't played Pyre, but I would honestly be fine with swapping that in. But I think Nier Automata personally would be my choice there. Best Audio Design, Best Performance from Voice and Motion Actors, Games for Impact.
See, how is it not in Games for Impact?
Yeah, that would be a good one.
So that's like emotional impact. That's
Oh, I see. Okay, well that's a weird category.
That's like Life is Strange, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, that kind of thing.
Sure. I understand. That's a really weird category.
Hellblade is definitely the game I want to play the most from this year. Just throwing that out there.
Best ongoing game, Jake, Warframe is in there.
Very good.
And best mobile game, and best handheld game.
Oh, and Jake, Pyre is nominated for Best Indie.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I'm satisfied.
Best VR game, best action game, best action adventure game, best RPG, fighting game, family game, strategy game, sports game, multiplayer, anticipated game presented by McCafe. Exactly. Yeah. Independent game, student game, trending gamer, esports game, esports player. Damn, esports team.
Damn, these categories, man.
All right, I think those are the high. Yeah, we're done. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. So
rock on.
All right. Well, Game Awards will come out. If PUBG wins, we'll definitely December 7th. Tune in. Okay. We are going to move on to the next news item. EA has shown themselves in the light of Reddit, and they managed to get the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, but not just the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, by factors of 10. Like They really, really screwed the pooch. They are over 500,000 downvotes.
Last
On
I
a
checked, they were over 700,000, approaching
yeah,
a million.
yep. I bet they'll hit 1 million. I believe we've all downvoted it.
Hell yeah.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
so real quick, I'll do a little rundown. There was a Reddit comment on the Battlefront subreddit where the title of the post was, seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader locked. I think they meant unlocked. Anyways, they made like a text post about that. EA responded. The response was that they essentially appreciate your feedback, and they selected a system that they think will work for everyone, that everybody would be comfortable with, and that's where they got all the downvotes. I'm gonna throw some numbers out. As of, I know they've been tweaking the financials on loot boxes and stuff. And again, these aren't even ballpark numbers. They physically lock your ability to gain more in-game currency to get these loot boxes. It would take about 4,500 hours or $2,100 to unlock everything in the game. That's the kind of grind that they're throwing at you. That's the kind of time grind, and even on top of that, cash grind that they're throwing on top of you. So, yeah, EA messed up. We had our reservations about Battlefront 2 and being pay to win and all that. It looks like they managed to hold true with their promise and released a really messed up game.
So,
And I can just give you an update. The user score for the game on, I believe, Metacritic is now below 1. Below 1 out of 10 is a 0.7 out of 10.
That's
So,
incredible. That's
it's getting
probably
crazy.
an all-time low.
So I think one of the craziest things I saw about this was someone posted a screenshot where they were in a matchmaking game, which was, it must have been an all heroes game, and they literally could not pick a hero because all the heroes that they had unlocked were already picked, and the rest were locked. So they literally just had to sit in the lobby because they did not unlock enough heroes to play the game.
Yep.
I think what is potentially good about this is, one, we might see the introduction of some kind of actually, a few governments in Europe have started investigating loot boxes as a form of gambling as a result of this game, which
Denmark.
Denmark. Regardless of whether you think or don't think it's gambling, some kind of regulation on the prices would be kind of nice. The other thing that could be good is that this could kind of this is sending a warning flag to pretty much every developer out there right now, that people are awake right now. They're listening, they're paying attention, and they're responding. And we're sick of this shit as of Battlefront 2, apparently, or Battlefront.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to have that kind of big impact, probably, because they still want to make their money. One thing that I had heard that I think is probably true is that EA deliberately made the rollout like extra shit, knowing that people would get really, really mad, so that they could roll it back to the level of regular shit that they actually wanted it to be released at. And then people would seem relatively, they'd be relatively okay with it after the absolute shit that had come before.
Yeah, another shitty thing.
So that seems pretty possible.
Another shitty thing that they did, and some people are saying this is common practice, but I've never heard of this personally, is they had a reviewer event where the reviewers would come and they actually changed the prices of the loot boxes significantly.
Like a lot.
Yeah, so you know, sites like IGN, GameSpot, all those channels that, like them or not, you see their content early and first. They had a certain impression on the cost and the rate of progression that just was drastically untrue when the game launched. The things were totally different.
I believe in the regular game it's like 40 hours to unlock Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and I believe in the reviewer copies it was only 10 hours.
Yeah, and I don't know, personally I think that's even a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of time. So
hey man, Mr. Game & Watch was 100 hours.
EA, I think they've I think they've dug a pretty deep grave for themselves on this one.
Yeah, it's gonna flop.
Sounds like it.
People are boycotting the fuck out of it, but I don't
And
think it'll
again-
matter in the long run.
And again, it's such a damn shame because the first two, like back in the mid 2000s,
So
were
fucking
just
good.
so good, and there was so much promise for these, but good old EA.
I guess if it makes
bad.
you feel any better, apparently the first player campaign is pretty mediocre. After all, so.
Yeah, if that was the other thing, I guess the single player is okay. So if it ever comes out on, I guess if you want to support EA, if it ever comes out on that EA service
Origin.
where Origin Access, where you pay $5 a month, if it ever launches on that platform, you could pay $5, play the 5-hour campaign, and hop out.
But it's like okay at best. Not only is it only like 6 to 8 hours long, like it's apparently like very, very, very repetitive, and a lot of the big story points are either off screen or cutscenes. So
yeah, well, yeah, but
not missing out on too much.
like personally, I think the game looks awesome. Like graphically, the
graphics look amazing.
Yeah.
if I could pay $5 to dive into that campaign and dive out, I'd do it.
That's the problem. We all would do it, and that's why in the future they're going to make it a little less shit, and we're still going to buy it.
We'll see.
Oh, we're gonna.
Maybe we'll be thanking Battlefront 2 in a few years for being the game that pushed governments over the edge and forced regulation on these things.
I would be astonished.
I kind of doubt it.
Fingers crossed.
In the United fucking States, fucking States, we're going to regulate anything in the United
Capitalism.
fucking States.
Probably not there.
Probably not here.
In my home
Move to
country,
Denmark.
in my home country of Germany, I hope.
Probably.
that.
The EU will probably make a rule.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Or even if you make it, well, I actually okay. I'm gonna go into this. I saw an interesting interesting comparison today, where so before we were talking about how a few episodes ago we did or did not consider it gambling because you got something physical out of it, like not physical, you got something out of it. Like you don't ever lose 100%. Like if you open a loot box and you get a bunch of shit that you didn't need, at least you got shit that you didn't need. You know what I mean? Like you didn't get nothing. It's not like when you're playing poker and you lose all your money. Someone was joking on Reddit where, let's just start casinos where if you lose, we give you a sticker or something.
That's a good point.
Yeah. We'll give you a penny or something. Like it's I don't know, just interesting. All right, that was fun. Always fun to talk about EA.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Fuck them.
I guess. Yeah, fuck them. We hate them. All right. I was gonna.
Don't send us any reviewer copies. We won't.
Yeah,
we won't play.
Yeah, we won't. We definitely won't take free shit. No. I will just brush over it real quick because we're loving EA at the moment. We just can't get enough of them. They acquired the Titanfall studio Respawn, which made Titanfall 2. They were ex-developers of Call of Duty. Relatively liked games, Titanfall 1 and 2. So we'll see what happens there. Very interesting.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Brian.
Did you ever start the bot?
Jake's recording.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit. I'm sorry about that.
You're
I apologize for that outburst and any inconvenience.
You're totally fine. So we are going to move on to the question. And I've decided that this question that we do every week is no longer reserved to us. Anyone who's listening, please comment. We love your answers. We'll respond to your answers. We need comments. We love comments. So the question, you have the budget and you have the hardware to acquire 3 holiday releases, the 2017 holiday. What are they and why? So in this theoretical world, you are not worried about money. You're not worried about dollars per hour of entertainment. You have a PS4, you have a Switch, you have whatever you need to get these games played. These are things that you're just kind of genuinely interested in checking out. If you don't have 3, you can say 2, you can say 1. Do you guys want me to go first? What do you think?
Go for it.
Okay. So And if you bought something this holiday, that's also a fair game. I'm gonna say top three would be Mario Odyssey, which I did buy, uh, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Switch, which I'll get into, and Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. So Mario, that's pretty obvious. I'm just gonna kind of skip that. I reviewed it. I talked about it. It's fun. It's great. And I cook for Nintendo apparently.
You do.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This is kind of my like, all right, I have a limited budget. I'm going to check it out. It's a JRPG that is developed by a company that Nintendo acquired a few years back. It's supposed to kind of replace. Back in the day, Nintendo got all the Final Fantasies exclusive to their console. This is kind of replacing that foothold. It's a massive game. It takes like 100 hours to beat, and it looks good. It sounds good, and the combat. So my biggest kind of drawback, because normally I'm into big open games, I'm into good stories, I'm into all that, but I don't typically like kind of turn-based combat, and I think I could be into it if it's deep enough and it's good enough, or semi-real-time combat. But I think this, if I had a limited budget, I would totally check this out. And maybe I'd get hooked on it. Maybe I wouldn't, but hey, limited budget. Third one, Wolfenstein. I played the demo for Doom, the new Doom 2016. I really liked it. I really liked every trailer I saw for the new Colossus. I have a recently acquired 1080 and a 4K monitor, and I think it would be really fun, and it would look really sick to play on my computer. It got pretty good reviews, so hopefully on the Steam sale it hits like $30 or something, and I'll pick it up. Anyone else?
So I think my three choices would be, the first one would be Horizon Zero Dawn, including the DLC. I know I've talked about that plenty of times, and I've never played it, but I think it looks amazing. I think Hellblade, Susuna's Sacrifice, I would also pick that up. The game also looks amazing graphically, but I think what they did story-wise, audio-wise, is incredibly interesting and very compelling.
The binaural audio.
Yes, and I'd like
I'm definitely picking that game up this Christmas.
Me as well. And then my third would be Zelda, the new Zelda Breath of the Wild game. I mean, can't ignore how well it's been received and how good it does look. So I will also probably be picking that up at some point.
AA. Jeremy or Brian?
Well, I mean, I don't know about what's coming out this season, what's coming out this holiday to really have a comment. If I was going to get something for Christmas, I mean, a Switch, I wouldn't be
what about
welcome to getting a Switch.
What was that $40 game you were saving up for?
Cold Waters.
There you go, Cold Waters. There's one.
Yeah, but that's only one. It looks cool. It looks different. So hopefully I'll get it off on Christmas.
Cool.
So I'm gonna stick to the games that are being released this holiday season.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going a strong Horizon Zero Dawn with DLC at number 1. It looks dank AF. I've wanted to play that for like a year now. Coming in very close, Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, or whichever the fuck. No, Wolfenstein 2. Yeah. There we go. Whichever the fuck. The new Colossus. The new Colossus. Yeah. There we go. Also looks dope. I don't have like an aggressive third based on what I'm seeing that's coming out. I would probably go with the new Middle Earth game, Middle Earth Shadow of War. Right. I know it's gotten some dodgy reception. But it looks pretty dope.
This is an unlimited budget, unlimited hardware solution.
Well, I'm not a particularly big fan of the series. I like fantasy games. I like open world games. Apparently, the Nemesis system thing is cool. I've never played it. So that's why I say I don't have a strong third. But like, if I were just picking 3 out of this lineup that I'm seeing offhand, that's the third that I'm going with.
yeah, if it wasn't a financial or resource loss to you, you could pick it up and you want because you're interested. Yeah, there you
So
go.
there we go.
There we go. I like it. I like it, guys. All right, Brian, do you have anything you want to say?
I was thinking of something to say, but I actually have a special guest here who'd like to come in and say a couple of words.
Oh yeah, why don't you bring him on?
Senator? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, and I'd just like to say that the one thing that I care about more than tax and healthcare reform is communities of people getting together and expressing their views on different issues that not all of us might understand, but it's about people getting together and coming together and talking about these things that we get forward progress. And I would like to say that the cohesive friendship unit is truly a fine podcast. Not that I've listened to it much myself, but they have requested that I say here that you smash that like button, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Senator.
thank you. Honored.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to.
He's a very busy man.
He is.
He is, but he's a very kind soul. All right, that does it for this week. Please like, subscribe, comment. We got no comments from last week concerning favorite profanities that we should use. This is why we didn't use any unique ones this week. So we're still taking requests for that. We're still taking requests for your favorite 3 holiday releases, and we're still just taking comments. We love your comments. Please have a good week, and we'll see you in the next one, right before Thanksgiving. Bye, guys.